Well, hey friends, Shauna Kramer here with Creatively Uncorked, bringing you this week's members-only painting, Gather and Be Grateful. Here we are, November 2021, and my lovely four-legged assistant, let's see how careful she can be around the paint today, is here with me to help teach you lettering. So we are going to keep this one simple. We're going to do a really simple background, and then when we get to the letters, I'll show you a couple of simple ways to do lettering. Okay, and I did trace my lettering on first because I want to cover it with a coat of paint and have it barely show through. I don't want those lines to show through when I'm finished with my lettering. So we'll get started now. Hey, Fluffy. Fluffy with your little face and whatever. Anyway, so we're just going to go ahead and cover up this background. Also, always use non-toxic paints if you can help it. You never know who's going to be eating them, drinking them out of your water bowl. So I'm just going to put a nice turquoise in the background. I'm doing a little turquoise, a little white, giving it a good swish. And now I just want to make sure that I'm putting my paint on thin enough so that I can see the lines through it, the pencil lines, once I get to that part. For example, right up here on the edges, it doesn't matter that much. I'll paint it as thick as I want because I don't need to paint over that again. Or I don't need to see under it again, I should say. Adding a little bit of water, and I'm using the biggest brush I have available to me. Well, big old 1-inch brush, 1-inch flat brush here I've got. The colors that I'm using at this moment are brown, turquoise, and white. Now this background, of course, is going to be mostly turquoise. White to brighten it up a little bit. So where you want the paint to be thinner, be sure to add some water to it. The water will help thin that paint out so that you can see your pencil lines. Very important. And yes, you could draw your pencil lines after you do your background, but then your pencil lines are going to show because you're not going to cover them with anything except for your lettering. And if your lettering is off by even the slightest little 32nd of an inch, those pencil lines are going to show through. Where this, if you do it this way, those pencil lines are so faded, even if you can see them, you're not going to see them that well, not going to see them that far away. So let's just take a look. So you can see I barely am seeing those pencil lines through this paint. I'll let it dry like this, and when the paint dries, acrylic paint is going to dry slightly more transparent than what you see here. So the pencil lines, I think, are going to show through a little bit more. So I'm going to pause, blow dry. You hit pause on your video and come back when you're ready. Welcome back. We have our canvas dry now, and we can still see the pencil lines through that paint. Not every single one of them, but we can see enough that we can make a good estimation of where the rest should go. And I just want to talk a little bit about the building of type before we start getting into our lettering. So, for example, I'm sure you all remember these lines from grammar school when you were taking your initial lettering courses or your typography or your Danielian or whatever they used to call it when they were teaching you your alphabets. Okay, so there is the top line, the bottom line, which is the baseline, the dotted line, which is the X line. So we have the base, the X, the cap, and if you did another dotted line out here, this would be the descender. So to see a little bit about how that works, when you have a capital letter, you're going to go all the way from the baseline to the cap line, and the cross line of any sort is always going to be at the X height. So if you have a lowercase x, that's where X height comes from, it will go from the baseline to the X height line. Okay, so if you have a T, a lowercase t, for example, the cross is going to go at the X height. All right, if you have a Y, that's where your descender comes in. So your Y goes from the X height to the baseline, back up to the X height, down to the descender. All right, so this is basically the lines that you're thinking about when you're creating any form of type. When you're working with lettering like this, and we've got curves, we've got cursive, we've got a few different things happening here, but you can see the baseline is happening right about there. My line's a little crooked cutting through some letters, but that's the baseline. Okay, here is the X height, dash, dash, dash. Okay, here is the cap line, roughly. Okay, and then the descender would be way the heck down here. Actually, probably be about here, and that G just has a big descender. Okay, and B, we're going to have the cap line, we're going to have the X line, X height, and then we're going to have the cap height. Same here with grateful. Baseline, X height, cap height. Okay, and then the descender. All right, so these are the ones that we're going to be the most concerned with. See the cap height. Let's see, that's the X height, cap height here. Yeah. And this T is way up there. And this is something that you're going to see as a variation from typeface to typeface, especially when you're dealing with script fonts. They're all going to be a little bit different. This is more of a hand lettering font, and I'll show you how to do that with paint. And I have a couple of different brushes here. All right, so I'm using this round brush, this green handled round brush, just because I know probably all of you have one like it. It's one that we've been sending out in our kits for a long time. It's just a standard round brush. This one, and I try to not pay too much attention to the numbers because every brand of brush uses their own numbering system. This one is called the number 2 small round. Okay, we'll just go with small round. Now this other brush that I have is a flat. It's has long bristles and it's flat on top and it's skinny. So another thing that it can be called sometimes is a square brush, but the longer the bristles, the more paint this will hold and the better it is for lettering. Okay, so now with the brush strokes with lettering, I'm just gonna dunk my flat brush in a little bit of water here and then pick up some dark color so you can see. All right. So now I have my flat brush and I'm going to demonstrate how we do the down strokes. Every time you're doing hand brush lettering, you're always doing the down strokes first. Okay, first down stroke is going to be on the G. Down stroke. You know, and once you get to the bottom, if you can like barely curve back up, fine, good, do it. If you can't, don't. Wait till the upstrokes, okay? Or the second down strokes, I should say. We never do upstrokes, okay? And the next one is the G, and this is a down stroke all the way to the bottom. Okay, and you just get to the bottom of that curve and stop. On the A, same thing, you do the down stroke. And you can go ahead and practice this on your paper as many times as you want, print out as many as you want, just keep practicing until you feel comfortable making your letters, and then go to your painting. Okay, down strokes, I'm going to do the T and then the H, and then we're going to move on. Okay, so there's my downstroke. So when I'm ready for the secondary downstrokes, which might be along, so this A, I've got the 1 down, 2 down, but they're not connected. So here's why I would use the skinny edge and connect them. On the T, skinny edge, connect them. On the H, skinny edge, connect them. Okay, and on this we have 2 downstrokes. We have the H. Notice the placement of the brush, the handling of the brush. Okay, so I'm holding it at an angle, about a 30-degree angle, I think. And when I'm doing my downstroke, it's at that angle, but it's wider on the upstroke or the secondary downstroke. Still holding it the same way, but I'm getting that thinner line. Okay, because I'm using the thinner side of the brush. See how that works? All right, and this, I would like to say it's just that simple, but this is something that's going to take practice. This isn't something that people are born knowing. Feel free to practice. You have this printout that you can use over and over again, or print out as many times as you need to. Let's move on to the painting. Cleaning out my brush because I'm going to use white paint for this. Here we are. I still have my flat brush. You can use your round brush. Either are going to work. And let's see, I have my G. I can barely see the G, but I know it's there. Right there. Oh. You want your paint in this case to be very thin. So I'm thinning this out with a little bit of water just to make sure it covers. Okay, a little more water. I'll just add a little more water to that paint. And another downstroke for the G. Not filling it all in, I'm just doing the big downstrokes. Got my A. Okay, another thing you're going to want to pay attention to when you're doing lettering is the rhythm of the letters. Make sure that the big downstrokes are all about the same rhythm apart. And we have this one coming over a curve. These are all curved letterings. These are all curved baselines. And we'll go with the big T. Okay, add a little more water to my paint. Make sure it continues to flow smoothly. And now I'm working on the secondary downstrokes. Okay, holding the brush exactly the same way, exactly the same angle, but this time we're doing the skinny lines. There we go. And gather, darn near complete. All right, moving on down to, let's see, we have this big, there's a swirl coming off of that G, but I'm going to do that later with the round brush. This flat brush works better for the letter shapes themselves, and any swirly shapes I can do later on with the round brush. And I think that where it says and B, those letters are smaller, so I'm going to do those with the round brush as well. And I'll just use the flat brush for the wide parts or for the bigger letters. Picking up new paint, every letter. Big wide downstroke on the A. And now you can see this is why I don't want, why I didn't want those pencil lines showing up too much, because I'm definitely not putting these lines exactly over the pencil lines. Yeah, and I don't want those to show. I don't want them to stand out. And almost all the wide downstrokes are done. So we get the U and the last L. All right, now touch more water mixing in with my paint, and then I can start doing the secondary downstrokes. So let's see. Make my G. It's going to come down here a little bit further. Okay, the G also has this little whoop curly Q up at the top of it. And let's see, we've got we'll connect the R to the A to the T. We'll also add that big swoosh across the T. So we've got the E, great. Connect those, connect the T to the E. The F, connect the U, and connect it to the L. All right, so now at this point, well, nope, one more thing on the L. There. And anytime you need to refer back to your original, here it is. So in case you need reminders of what those letters look like, just keep your printout handy. And it definitely is helpful to practice those letters on your paper first before going to the canvas, just because it'll help you get the flow of the lettering. I'm switching to my round brush now. My round brush is smaller, skinnier, and I think it's going to help me get these little curly Q's and the smaller letters a little more easily. So curly Q's. This is one where it seems to me easier to start at the end of the curly Q and end at the letter. Let's just see how it goes. So pressing down and then lifting off, doing the curly Q, connecting to the G. Looks pretty okay. All right, take a little more water, mix in a little more paint. Let's see. I'll go to the next letters instead. I'll go to the and B, which we already know what these letters look like because we've already been painting them. Press harder on the downstrokes. Light touch on the upstrokes, and that's going to get you the same type of look as the angle brush. Okay, so more pressure, wider line, lift up. More pressure, wider line, lift up for the light line. Barely touch for the skinny line. And to do skinny small details with acrylic paint, you need to have watery paint. So mix in some water with that. Okay, wide B. Wide E. There. See, so I'm doing the downstrokes first and then coming back and connecting the letters. I have a big, well, I want to make this L a little heavier. There. There, and then I want to connect, so I'll do a press down. And if you need a stopping point, stop at the curly Q. Okay, stop at the downstroke. Just like that. The downstrokes are natural connectors at the bottom, so those are easy places to stop and reconnect. So let's see, what else might we want to add to this lettering? Looking a little bland right now, but this is our goal here, is to practice this lettering. So I'm picking up a little more paint. I know we can do some fun little curly Qs outside the lettering, and just have fun with these. Put these kind of where you want. You don't have to really follow a pattern. And practice with it, pressing down and lifting off. Pressing down to get the wider lines, lifting off to get the lighter strokes. And whenever you feel like you have enough of those, we're going to leave the lettering alone, and then we'll move on to a few decorative accents. I think I'm going to try a mixture of brown and turquoise. If I do turquoise, I'm going to have too much of the same color. If I do brown, it might end up too dark. Let's see what a combination of the two looks like. And if I don't like it, I'm just going to go with pure brown. All right, so I have a big whoop. That's the base of my wreath. And now when I'm going to do the little leaves on here, it's just going to do a press down, lift off, press down, watch this. So press down, lift off, press down, lift off. Okay, and I'm angling this so it's pointing toward that branch. There. And the most important thing about this is whatever you do, just do it consistently. This wreath does not have to match anything else. It does need to match itself, though. Could we have done this in white? Yeah, probably. Probably could have. But I wanted just the lettering in white and other colors elsewhere. Section of wreath right about there. And I'm going to do it the opposite way. So end leaf over here on the right side. And here are the rest of my little leaves, just following it back. Pick up new paint when you need to. Okay. So let's see, do we need any other detail anywhere else? We can do a, We could do like a little flower thing over here. Needs a little color over here, doesn't it? So we can take my turquoise and brown there and just do some down leaves that kind of point back to the center of that. And now we have a little flower, and that can even have some leaves coming off of it. Okay, so that's like a little plant there on the outside. So here we are. I'm calling this quits. Gather and be grateful. It's got a few items of decor on the outside. Add as many as you like. You can add leaves if you like, flowers if you like, whatever you want. All right, well, thank you for painting with me. My name is Shanna Kramer, and this is a painting for Creatively Uncorked members. Or if you want to purchase this individually, you can do that as well. Check creativelyuncorked.com or even creativejustlive.com. That's where the members meet. Thanks for painting with me, and I will see you next time.